Welcome back, good people. Welcome back. It's been a minute since we've been together. That doesn't mean I've gone anywhere. As always, like, comment, subscribe, hit the Patreon page, hit the Etsy shop. A bunch of new designs on there that you may dig, something that you could pick up. You'll be cool if you did. So today we're going to talk about the Black Keys' new album called Dropout Boogie. Now, Dropout Boogie was released May 13th of 2022. This was something that I picked up on as I was surfing through for some new stuff to talk about. And if you don't know who the Black Keys are, we're going to get into that. But like I said, like, subscribe, comment. Let's get a conversation going about some real good music. And yeah, let's get into this. So, the Black Keys. If you don't know who the Black Keys are, they are a duo that was formed in Akron, Ohio, early 2000s. They consist of two people. Now, they do kind of the White Stripes kind of thing. If you're into that, they mainly play that boogie kind of blues, but it's Dan Auerbach, who is the vocal and guitar player, bass player, Hammond player in the studio. He's producer. He runs a record label. He does all kind of cool stuff. And then Patrick Carney, he's drums. He does production. He plays bass, synthesizers, percussion. But it's just those two guys. Now, they do have people that come in on the studio and play a handful of instruments. And on this, they had a few extra people. There's one track in particular that I will speak of that had a little guest on it. But there you go. So, yeah, this is their 11th album. I got into the Black Keys with their album Magic Potion, and then which was 2006, and then an album Attack and Release, and so on. Their biggest commercial album was from 2010 called Brothers. But since Brothers, I have to be honest, the Keys have not really done it for me. They had gotten into a little commercialized stuff. They had added some overproduction, I felt like. But that's just me. When you're, I guess, into like traditional blues like I am, or boogie blues, or whatever you want to call it, a little goes a long way. But one thing about this album is they do kind of get back to that. And I've read that this is the first album that they actually brought in outside songwriters. I don't really think they needed it. But that's just what it is. So, Dan Auerbach. Dan Auerbach is a very unique guitar player. Gear-wise, we'll talk about his gear. Stylistically, it's, he's got this R.L. Burnside meets Billy Gibbons meets, I don't know, like a Jason Isbell. They're kind of contemporaries. His style is very, very unique to him, which is what people's style do. But it's not your typical like shred mainstream guitar player. Now the guy can throw down. Don't get it twisted. But it is a style that I think is a dying style. There are not a lot of guys out there that have the kind of rhythmic rhythm patterns that Dan Auerbach can play, and his vocals are outstanding. His harmonies, these guys, they're on it together. They're a great band. So gear-wise, Auerbach's known. It's strange because he's one of the first dudes that I heard that like this cat hates changed guitar strings. I've seen interviews with his guitar techs with like the crustier the better. I don't understand that. I always changed mine like every 2 or 3 shows. Um, but apparently this dude loves them crusty, and he's into those old like airline Valco, Supro, odd guitars from the 50s and 60s that you got through like Sears and Roebuck and stuff like that. He was kind of in that gig. While Jack White made it famous, Dan was also in that kind of thing. Um, I haven't really ever seen him be a Strat Les Paul guy. Your standard mainstream instruments of rock and roll implementation. Uh, I've always seen him as a odd kind of Supro kind of thing. Amp wise, he runs live. He runs like 4 or 5 amps live. He runs like Fender Twins, Bandmasters, and those kind of things. Tweeds, a couple Marshalls. So I'm not going to sit here and dissect what he runs because obviously the last time that I saw his setup, it's probably changed since then. Pedals, you can hear fuzz, you can hear distortions, you can hear delays, a wah, but I don't really know. I'd have to really, really dig into this dude's gear. And he's a cat that uses so much gear that on this album, there's no telling. It is very straightforward. It is very early Tweed, Fender Tweedish. I don't really hear the Marshall sound as much as I have in the past on some of their stuff, but I could be wrong. But I think most of this is early Tweed Fenders from the 50s into the early 60s before they swapped over to what they called a blackface Fender, which is where they painted the faceplate black. And obviously, um, dirty guitar strings. I don't know. Dude can afford new strings. It's just a it's a preference thing. So what are my top tracks off this album? Let's dig into that, shall we? So this has 10 cuts on it. It runs 34 minutes and a second. So it's not too bad. Very, very boogie related. So my number 3 pick, as I always do, I give you the top 3, is the number 7 song, and it's called Burn the Damn Thing Down. 2 minutes, 57 seconds. This is a low tuned, up tempo, fast rocker. The thing that caught my attention on this is he's riding that detuned string, and it's just a shuffle. It's just your basic blues shuffle, but these guys are just kind of cranking through this one. So that's my number 3 pick. It is the number 7 song on the album. Burn the Damn Thing Down. 2 minutes and 57 seconds. I like the straight beat on it. I like how they're riding the rhythm on that open D2 string. And vocally, it's a Black Keys song, so they're on it. My number 2 pick. Some of these were kind of tough. It's a great album. It can get a little redundant, but my number 2 pick is the number 5 song, and it's called Good Love. Now, it is 3 minutes and 38 seconds, and this is one of the songs that I was mentioning that features an outside um, writer. It features the revered Reverend Billy F. Gibbons from ZZ Top. You can hear that sludgy kind of rhythm thing that he does, that he's the master of. There's not too many guys out there anymore that can do this. What caught my attention, of course, anything that's got the rev on it, I'm going to be gravitated toward. But this, once I listen to it, the sludgy kind of Billy rhythm with the use of the Hammond in the background, and then Dan is kind of doing a harmonic follow with his guitar notes. You can hear it when he's singing the verse. But it's got that swampy, low key, dirty blues juke joint kind of thing, right? And that's what really drug me into this. So the number 5 song on the album, Good Love, featuring Billy F. Gibbons from ZZ Top. 3 minutes, 38 seconds. That's my number 2 pick off the album. My number 1 pick off of this album. This was a tough one because, like I said, 10 tracks. This to me was a return to what really got me into the Black Keys. If you are not into them, I implore you to go listen to the album Brothers. There are, maybe I'll do a review on the remastered cut of Brothers because they released it a little bit ago, remastered. There's so many cuts on there that just suck me into it. And really, that album, I don't listen to it much because I just wore that thing out, ladies and gents. But this is kind of a return to that sound to me. Not that their other albums aren't great, but they just didn't click with me. My number 1, numero song off of this album is the number 4 song. It's 3 minutes and 5 seconds, and it's called Your Team Is Looking Good. Why would I pick this song? As I said, this is the epitome of what the Black Keys do. And I've read some other reviews of this album where people were like, oh, they didn't really break new ground. They didn't really do anything that separated this from anything else they've ever done. An artist sounds like an artist. You wouldn't have walked up to Waylon Jennings or somebody like that and been like, bro, you sound like Waylon Jennings. He would probably looked at you and been like, no crap. This sounds like Black Keys. This sounds like what got me into the Black Keys. This has got Dan's rhythm playing. His use of effects is something that any guitar player can take away. His use of a tremolo here in between the rhythmic sections is just dead on what he does best, right? There are a few songs in their catalog where he has taken an effect and used it in a way that, not that it's not meant to be used, but he's used it in a very artistic, articulate way to where it adds to the song, to where it's actually a rhythmic thing. And these guys only being a duo, in the studio they can do what they want, and live they kind of roll with some dudes, as a backing band. But if you listen to this, when he plays the main rhythm lick and then adds that tremolo into it, it thickens the song out. And that to me is the genius of what the Black Keys do. That's kind of the genius of Dan Auerbach. So there you have it. My number 1 song is Your Team Is Looking Good. It is the number 4 song on the album. 3 minutes and 5 seconds. So what do I give this album on my jam scale? If you read other people's reviews of it, they say it's good, but it's, like I said, it's not a departure from their sound. For me, I will give this 4 jams out of 5, which is how I rate things. I think this is a phenomenal album and a return to the basics of what the Black Keys do. It's not overproduced. It's not got the... I think they've done some stuff with Danger Mouse and other guys. It doesn't have the overproduction that kind of turned me off from some of their stuff. Now, when they first got into that stuff, like I said, Magic Potion, Attack and Release, Brothers, phenomenal album. I would put this with them. I would put this probably, if I was going to talk about those 4 albums, in the 4th slot. El Camino is a great album too, but it just didn't click with me. This clicked with me. This brought me back in. I listened to this album a bunch after the release. So yeah, 4 jams out of 5. I think if you have not gone into the Black Keys, this is a good place to start. If you're coming back around to the Black Keys, this will suck you back into that realm and have your foot tapping and your booty shaking and all that good shit that we like when we listen to the good jam. All right. As always, be kind to each other. Be safe out there. And remember that music is love and love is music. Until next time, good people. Keep rocking.